Jeremiah chapter 12, at the beginning, he complains of the wicked's prosperity, and further down, God laments the desolation of his heritage. His heritage is what he gave to Israel, the land and the people. He chose the people and the land were God's heritage. And he laments the desolation of it. But he also did choose, God did choose and allow Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, chose him to invade Israel and take them captive and put them into slavery for 70 years. So come down to verse 14, where we're starting this week. And so now in verse 14, he's got a little bit of, if you will, good news here. If you're reading Jeremiah and going through Jeremiah, I mean, Jeremiah is all about God's fury and his anger, okay, and what he is going to do to the children of Israel because of their sinful idolatry, worshiping those other gods, and then being hypocrites about it. They worship, they go out and worship Baal, and then once a year they'll go up to the temple and take their sacrifice up to the temple, and they figure, once a year, that's good enough. That'll cover my sins for the next year, and I can go back to worshiping Baal for the rest of the time. Okay? So, thus saith the Lord against all mine evil neighbors. And you can name some of the same countries today that are God's evil neighbors. Okay? The Lord's, he addresses the spoilers, the evil neighbors, the Syrians, the Edomites, the Moabites, the Ammonites, all the Ite brothers, all the Ites, and the Philistines. Okay, and who at certain times in their history, they took advantage of Judah's weakness. Okay, but God here has some special mercy. Isn't it wonderful that God is merciful to us? And he is merciful to Israel, even though they're about ready to go into slavery for 70 years. Thus saith the Lord against all mine evil neighbors that touch the inheritance which I have caused my people Israel to inherit. God gave it to them. And down the centuries, since, God gave it to, and had Moses lead the children in, or Joshua lead the children in, okay? And they've inherited it. It's theirs, okay? What we've got over there right now, Israel, the nation of Israel right now, is God's inheritance, okay? And at this time, okay, they're getting ready to be plucked out of it, which I've called behold, I will pluck them out of their land. Okay, he's going to remove the children of Israel out of their land, okay, and put them in captivity. But he is going to remove them from the land and pluck out the house of Judah from among them, from among the evil neighbors. Okay? And it's what the way he does it is not pretty, because it ends up being desolation for the land for quite a while, 70 years at least. And but today, hey, Israel can be called, what, the breadbasket of the Middle East. Even though they're still surrounded by evil neighbors, and what? So somebody decided to send in some missiles here the other day. That was in the news. I guess since Putin's getting away with invading Ukraine, everybody, all of Israel's evil neighbors, can get away and get by with, sending missiles in, bombing stuff. Everybody wants to bomb somebody. Oh, remember during the Iraq War, there was a thing, a saying going around, bomb, 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 bomb Iraq. Anybody remember that? Anybody remember that? Yeah.
Will you do that again?
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Yeah. They turned it anyway. Nobody remembers that. Anyway, so pluck them out of the house. Pluck out the house of Judah from among them. And it shall come to pass in verse 15. After that I have plucked them out, I will return. Okay, and have compassion on them. Remember, this is, the same God, and there's nothing wrong with it. The same God that is promising anger and fury and desolation, who is saying now, I will have compassion on them. And he has compassion on us. If we turn away from God, he will have, he may chasten us. He may, show some of his anger and displeasure with us. But if we turn back to him, he will have compassion on us. And he's going to have compassion on them. And will bring them again, every man to his heritage. Remember, when they first went into the land, they divided up the nation of Israel. Each of the 12 tribes had their own chunk of land, okay? And that was their inheritance. Children of Dan, Naphtali, Issachar, all those guys, they all had, Benjamin, Judah, they all had their own inheritance, okay? And will bring them again, every man to his heritage, and every man to his land. Now, that is true today also, is when, when the tribulation happens, when we get raptured out, and the land is going to be returned to the Jewish people, and they will have their inheritance, their piece of land that was their inheritance. So if you've got a descendant of Dan out here anywhere, any of you might be descendant of Dan or Naphtali or any of those others, if any of us are, we have a chunk of land over there in Israel, or that person has a chunk of land over there in Israel, and it's his. Okay? And like in my ancestry searches, I found out I have ancestors who were Scottish noblemen, and I have in my ancestry at least two of my lines of family tree connected with two separate castles in Scotland. So I could go over and claim, a piece of rock from either of those two castles in Scotland. Well, that's what, God is saying here, every man to his heritage. That's what he's saying here. Every man to his heritage, every man to his land. Okay? Yeah, I kind of doubt if I went over there and took a pebble of rock, I'd probably get in deep trouble. From one of my castles. Yeah. Yeah. And I won't. It's neither one of them are the one with the Blarney stone that you have to kiss. Neither one of them is that. So I don't have to kiss the Blarney stone.
That's Irish, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Irish. Yeah. Well, Scotch anyway. Whatever. It's yeah. It's all Blarney anyway. Yeah. Anyway, so everyone, but that, what I'm trying to give you that picture is every man to his land. And it shall come to pass, okay, if they will diligently learn the ways of my people. Who's he talking to now? Okay. If they will diligently learn the ways of my people, okay, he's talking about the Gentiles. That's us'uns. Okay? We are included in this also. We'uns and us'uns were included here. If they, the Gentiles, will diligently learn the ways of my people, okay, and my people would be, Israel, but the correct and proper ways of his people. The people that, his people that follow and obey him, rather than his people who go after Baal. Okay? To swear by my name, the Lord liveth. Okay? That's kind of an oath, that you can, that they were kind of got into the habit of saying, it was the Lord liveth. Okay? And that was swearing by, if you will, giving an oath to God because he lives. Follow that? Yeah. The Lord liveth. Swear by my name, the Lord liveth. As they taught my people to swear by Baal. Okay? They're all those idol-worshiping nations around, they're teaching his people, his inheritance, his heritage, to swear by Baal. Oh, Baal will live forever. Oh, Baal, oh, Baal, oh. Yeah. And then when it gets deep enough, you can bail them out. Boy, I'm full of them this morning, aren't I? But, they, his evil neighbors, taught his people to swear by Baal. Then shall they be built in the midst of my people. Okay? The Lord liveth, then they shall be, and again, referring to the Gentiles. The Gentiles will be built up. And that's, like I said, that's us. But, verse 17, but if they will not obey, okay, yeah, here's where the trouble comes. I will utterly pluck up and destroy that nation. If those evil neighbors, okay, first of all, if they, learn the ways of his people, the right ways, if we learn that we need a Savior, Jesus, okay, and then we'll be built up. But if we don't obey, if we, the Gentiles, and those evil neighbors, you can think of that. If we are not following Jesus, following God, trusting in Jesus as our Savior, okay, we are one of his evil neighbors, and it does, and pastors pointed this out several times, it does, say in the Bible that we are, we can be enemies of God at enmity with God. That's one of those 3 times, that's a little short 3 times word fast. 3 times fast word. But, if we don't obey, I will utterly pluck up and destroy that nation. So there is mercy here. There is a little bit of good news, okay, here for both the Jews and the Gentiles. Okay? If we obey, we'll be built up. If we refuse to obey, nation will be destroyed. Those evil neighbors, and that can include us, will be destroyed, saith the Lord. And, hey, we finished the chapter. Yay!